Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been 1 week, pretty much, actually like 9 or 10 days, with the 370Z Nismo. Want to give an update, kind of like an overview of what I've kind of learned with the car over this past week. Even though it's been 9 to 10 days, I took the WRX out twice, I believe, this week. So some comparisons with that, which are very interesting. But anyway, just want to give you an overview. Some housekeeping stuff first. So I think it was Rob Kober, who, I'll put it right here, is the guy who guessed the secret car. He's the only guy on YouTube or Instagram that I saw that guessed the secret car. There were some guesses of, I think, a couple Lotuses in there, which actually would make sense based on what I was saying. But he is the guy who guessed the secret car. And the other housekeeping item, which I said in the last video, and I just mentioned now, obviously, that I drove the WRX this week. Still not sold. I'm not selling it, so it's not going to be sold. I'm keeping it for now as a winter car, and we'll see what happens with it there. But that's about it, because I know some people were just talking about I sold it and were kind of annoyed that I sold it, but I didn't, so still here. Anyway, let's get driving and talk about the car. All right, so first thing to mention real quick, cosmetically, tint. The tint on the car, this car is used, I've already mentioned that, 24,000 miles, a 2017, still has bumper to bumper warranty left on it, and it came with tint. The tint's pretty good. I think it's slightly darker than the WRX. The only thing I don't think I like is the eyebrow. I don't know, this car is, it's not claustrophobic, it's just, it is small inside and there's not much space to see out of it. And the tint comes down so far in the eyebrow that it just, like, everything I look at, everything above the roof of the car in front of me is in that tint line, even the lights and everything. I don't know, it's a little annoying to me. I look through it all the time. I sit up, I'm 5'10", 5'11". I look through it a lot for a lot of things, and I just don't like looking through it. So I might take off this tint up here, but for the most part, it's fine. Just, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably drive with it for a little longer and see what I want to do. All right, so 1 week impressions of this car. Pretty much to sum it up, I love it. It's awesome. Now, the last videos you saw of this car was my first impressions video, which was pretty much 5 minutes after the car got dropped off at my place. And those were very raw first impressions, but you couldn't get a feel for the car. You got to drive the car for a while. And it's been 1 week. I drove it to work 4 out of the 5 days this week. I drove the WRX 1 day. And that actually opened up my eyes to so many differences, especially when I went back to the WRX, of why I like this car and why it's just so different, which is what I was going for. So it's very obvious that these cars are very different. One's turbo, one is naturally aspirated. One is a 4-cylinder, one's a 6-cylinder. One is a coupe, one is 4-door. One is all-wheel drive, one is rear-wheel drive. It's exactly what I was going for. And I've driven rear-wheel drive cars, not many though, and I've never owned a rear-wheel drive car. And man, this thing is fun, and I get it. I completely get it why people love rear-wheel drive so much, because this thing just is so tail happy and gets loose. And you'll take it around a corner and you can feel the car actually rotate. And it's just awesome. It's so different than all-wheel drive, and I absolutely love that about this car. Driving characteristics. What's the difference between this and the WRX? First thing you notice is the clutch pedal. I don't think the WRX or the Z technically have good clutch pedals. They both are pretty weird, I think. Maybe people like them. Maybe what makes a good clutch pedal? I don't know. Is it that it's linear, that there's a good progression, that you can feel the whole bite point? Maybe. The WRX it's a little bit earlier. It's probably like a 30 to 50% lift off is where the clutch really engages, and it does feel kind of weird. This car is very different. It's like 90% of nothing, and then on-off light switch. That's about it. The catch point is instant and on-off. And it's very weird, a little hard to get used to. Now, driving a stick is kind of like riding a bike where, you just never forget and you get used to it. So after about 5 minutes driving this car, you got pretty much used to it. It's just still jarring at times when it's just an on-off switch. This is definitely not a car I'd recommend for someone learning stick in, because it is a little weird, and it's a little jerky and very, just like I said, on off, so it's hard to get it smooth. Stiffness, this compared to the WRX, this is stiffer, but it's not that bad. It's probably just a little bit stiffer. If you had to put them on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being extremely stiff, like race car stiff, I'd put this maybe like an 8, and the WRX is probably like a 7. Now, the 2015 WRX is actually stiffer than the 2016 and onward. What they did when they made the new WRX and redesigned it, they actually made the 15 WRX pretty much as stiff as the 14 STI. It was in some like press release or something. That's the one I bought, And I think a lot of people actually ended up complaining about how stiff it was, and they softened it up for 16 onward because it was so stiff. So comparing it to a 15, the 15 is probably a 7 out of 10 on the stiffness scale, and this would be like an 8. And it's fine, I think, to daily drive. Now, I think I have a high tolerance for stiff suspensions because that's all I've ever owned is like stiff cars, and I don't really mind it too much. So it doesn't bother me. This could be a little too jarring, a little too stiff for some people daily driving, but I would say 75% of people who would buy this car would be fine to daily drive in. I don't notice it. Feels fine to me. It might be shaking in the camera right now, but it's really not too bad, I don't think. Next, steering feel. Man, this car has great steering. Like the inputs, I don't know how to explain it. It's better. It's better than the WRX. This does have hydraulic power steering, which most people say is better than electric power steering, but there's arguments, it can be made both ways. This steering seems way more precise. It feels way more grounded. It's a heavier car by about 200 pounds with the WRX, but it feels obviously lower because it is, and it feels more planted, and just your inputs feel more precise and more immediate and real in this car than they do in the WRX, which I didn't notice in the WRX until I drove it again after this car and realized it is more soft, less precise, and definitely less sporty. But I guess if you're playing Captain Obvious here, this is a Nismo fully spec'd out 370Z. This is supposed to be pretty sporty and probably built to be sportier than a WRX is built to be. We also need to talk about the exhaust. The exhaust is aftermarket. It's an NVIDIA exhaust. I haven't done much research on what kind of NVIDIA exhaust it is, but it smelled like a catless because you can smell the gas. When I took it in for my post-purchase inspection, they came out and said, and I asked them just, can you let me know what it is? And they said, yes, it's catless, but it's a very nice catless exhaust. Everything looks to be done right. And it wasn't throwing any codes. So the exhaust is loud, definitely louder than the 4-inch muffler aftermarket nameless performance exhaust I have in my WRX. This sounds better. It's louder, and I actually like it a lot. When I got back into the WRX, I thought the WRX was too quiet. So I'm very happy with how loud this exhaust is, even though it is very loud. It's not too bad when you're cruising. It actually doesn't have any drone on the highway, and even when you're just cruising and trying to be quiet, you can still be pretty quiet with it. My only gripe currently about this exhaust is that I love the sound of the VQ engine. Absolutely love the sound of any VQ engine, but especially like the 350Z. I think a lot of people don't like it, but I do. You're basically in two boats. Either you like it or you hate it, is what it seems like. I like it. This exhaust takes a little bit of the VQ sound away, what gives it kind of that personality. You can still hear that it's a VQ, but not as kind of screamy as a VQ is. There's not a great way to describe a VQ, but that's the way I would describe it, as that screamy. Hopefully you can hear that, but that's what it sounds like. So what else is there? Well, let's talk about the engines real quick. They're obviously very different by the way you really feel everything. I mean, this is NA. I get the NA thing now. I mean, I had NA cars before the WRX, but none of them were powerful. I understand why that just consistent power all the way through the rev range is fun, because you just always know it's coming and it's building more and more and more, and it's linear and it's not jarring where it just hits you like right in the chest like a turbo would. It's just linear and slightly adding more power as you go through the rev range. Now, if we want to talk straight line speed in this, and there will be videos comparing actual straight line speed between this and the stage 1, gotta remember my WRX is stage 1 WRX. WRX is faster. It's faster 0 to 60. From my butt test and the seat test, the WRX is faster 0 to 60. Now, let's take out the launch part, because all-wheel drive is going to launch better every time. You do a 20 to 60 where this has grip the whole time, I still think WRX is faster. Why? Has more torque. If you look at a stock WRX, it's ever so slightly less torque than this. Okay, so if we just talk about a stock one, but it still weighs 200 pounds less, and it feels punchier. It feels faster. 0 to 60, of course. 20 to 60, I think a stock WRX wins. My stage 1, I definitely think still wins. Now, this has a lot more horsepower, which is, I think, when you get into the higher speeds and get more to top speed things. So when you start going 20 to 100 miles an hour, I think this would actually eventually overtake it there. So highway speeds, this is probably faster. Doing something to 80 or beyond, this is probably faster, but 0 to 60 and something even like a 20 to 60, I don't see how the WRX loses. The WRX definitely feels lighter. I mean, you can feel it. It feels less substantial, it feels lighter, and it is lighter. And I think that plus the extra torque will beat this almost every time. But this is still absolutely fun in its own ways. And the final thing I think I need to talk about with this car is the seats and how phenomenal they are. If you've watched any of these videos on this channel, you know I hate the WRX seats. I don't think they're comfy when you're just going down a highway and cruising, and I don't think they're that great to hold you in when you're doing canyon carving. They're okay. I'll say they're okay. They're average at canyon carving, but they're extremely uncomfortable, at least for me. Maybe they're different for other people when you're just cruising. And the WRX has no lumbar support and is like a straight up and down seat pretty much, and it's just uncomfortable. I love these seats. They hold you in great, and they're comfortable for cruising too. I think they have great lumbar support and just conform to your body very nicely. So I could ramble all day about my first impressions and my week-long impressions, and I think eventually I'll make a video that goes very in detail. It might be very long, but I don't want to make this video too long since it's 1 week impressions. That's my initial impressions on the driving. A couple random things left to say is that Bluetooth. This car has no Bluetooth. I got the base Nismo version because I heard the infotainment sucks because it's from 2009 when this car came out. So I actually went with the base one. I got an aux Bluetooth adapter for 20 bucks on Amazon. Works perfect. It even comes with this little wheel thing that you can click left and right and skip tracks and all this. That's fine. I may eventually get some kind of Android Auto thing to put into this double DIN unit, but for right now, this is good. Car fits golf clubs. That's good too. I was concerned it might not, and I would take the WRX whenever I go golfing or go to the driving range, but I went to the driving range this past week and they fit in fine, no problem. They just hang over that little bar back there, but no problem. I got the PPI done, post-purchase inspection, because I actually didn't get a pre-purchase inspection done before this car. Guy said this car is perfect. Said nothing out of the ordinary. It's 24,000 miles. It all looks pretty much new. The only thing he mentioned is that the wheels, I'll probably need some new, tires. Probably need some new tires soon. He said I can probably get through the summer. I might change them sooner because I don't know if I'll have this car through a full set of tires, through a full set of new tires. If new tires last me 30,000 miles and I drive this 5,000 or 6,000 miles a year, that's 5 or 6 years. I don't know if it'll last me that long, so I might just get the new tires this summer. All right, last thing, and then I'll wrap this up. Like I said, I have the bumper-to-bumper warranty still on it, and the only thing I need to take it in for, that I believe, I'm actually getting an oil change this week at Nissan, and the only thing I need to mention is it sounds like one of the speakers in the driver's side footwell might be out. I hope that gets replaced under a bumper-to-bumper. I don't know, they might say, you're an idiot, you blew your speakers, so that doesn't get replaced. We'll see what they say. I mean, I didn't blow it, but I understand if it's not covered under it, even though I didn't do it, they can't fix it. But I'm gonna see if they'll fix it. If it needs a new speaker, or if it's just a wiring problem, or what it is. Bumpy road. And I presume it's pretty inexpensive to get a new speaker if I need to get a new one speaker here and can just do it myself or something, so we'll see. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully, I'm trying out a lav mic. Hopefully it's not too weird sounding or anything. I'm rambling, of course. Hopefully this wasn't too long, but it feels like it might be kind of long. Anyway, stay tuned. Many more videos to come, of course. And I'm going to do some comparison videos with the WRX and hopefully do a little bit of racing. Not quite racing, just kind of pulls next to WRX and really test my theories of which one's faster. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you as always in the next video.